I didn't know that I would never get to upload the video that I spent 2 weeks on creating, and that made me pour my effort on it without realizing that all that effort was spent for a wrong reason. I didn't realize that until it was completely ready to be uploaded, that I realized it wasn't really me. It was the second time that I gave a shot to Persian YouTube channel, and I started creating the content that I would think that I was good at. But meanwhile, I would talk about confidence while I was insecure. I would talk about success while secretly I would feel like I'm a failure. However, I was just trying to act, but acting like someone you're not doesn't last long, and soon or late, reality breaks that illusion. A night before I was planning to upload the third video of my channel, I received a comment, and honestly, comments are one of my favorite parts of content creation, so I immediately opened it. But that wasn't what I thought. It was a hate comment on my first video. The hate comment that I received was so sharp and attacking me, but the whole message of it was that your content sucks. But the worst part, I believed them. Not because they were right, but because I still didn't know who I really was, and I still couldn't believe in myself. Though with that hate comment, I said goodbye to Persian YouTube channel for the last time, and this time for real. I deleted my channel completely and decided not to waste my time, effort, and energy on a place that they don't respect me and they would attack me for creating a simple content. But that was actually a turning point for me. And after that, I started seeing myself truly for who I really was. So I stopped acting and I decided to focus only on growing myself. This time, not by repeating everything I would hear and not by copying all the things that other people would do, but this time by following my dreams and my goals. Since I first learned how to read and write as a child, I was obsessed with writing and storytelling. I even wrote my first book when I was in the first grade. Honestly, I just told the story and my mom wrote it for me, but it counts, yeah. In school, I was always famous for writing, and I would write in the classes even until the last year of high school. Though when I graduated, I used to think that maybe it was one of those hobbies that I had in school, and after the school, I would just forget about it. But it didn't take me long before I started writing again. And honestly, I started writing right a day after my graduation. The combination of my passion for writing, for digital drawing, and also for making content in English made me decide to start a webtoon series and also document my journey and post it on TikTok. I've just decided to start a webtoon series. I started by practicing digital drawing and documenting it for my TikTok channel. It was my first TikTok channel ever and I was so obsessed with it. Plus, making TikTok videos would take way less time than making a single long-form video for YouTube. So I would make those TikTok videos daily. Every day I would spend so much time on drawing and trying to figure out how can I write and draw my book. But when I realized how much effort it takes to write an entire book, I decided to take it to the next level. It was always my fantasy to write and publish a book. One of those fantasies that you don't imagine that they would actually come true. But when I decided to work on webtoon, that fantasy was just shaping into reality. But it wasn't quite there, and it wasn't something that I would think about and say, oh wait, did I really do that? So as I had the opportunity, I decided to write a traditional book. Of course, I knew that would take so much time and effort, but I also knew that I would have so much fun by doing my dream job and living in the world of my stories. I started by writing the second draft of my book from my notebook to my laptop, but still in Persian. I knew that at some point I should write it in English, but in that time it would just feel like an untouchable dream. Meanwhile, I learned about Booktube, and as I was just trying to read my first English books, I I also decided to talk about them in my TikTok channel. I just started to read a book and so far I really like it. This is the book and now I'm gonna read this. While I'm reading, I want to drink this tea, peach and passion fruit tea. Oh my god, it brings me to my childhood memories. I want to read around 1 hour and my TikTok channel was slowly turning into a book talk channel. Right on time, 1 hour, and I finished the chapter 1. Then again, I changed my room decor. Like my problems would be solved by dragging my desk around my room. That's right, that time wasn't just about cute bookish stuff and writing. I also had so much struggles. Like first of all, I was waiting for my agency to update me about my situation to moving to Ireland, which they were so quiet about it, and that was the root of all of my struggles. I was also trying to grow my social media while growing myself, and the responsibility of taking care of an aquarium was adding up to all of my problems. So at a point, I decided to solve whatever I could and just deal with whatever I couldn't solve. And the very first thing I did was I gave up my aquarium, which was like I got rid of a heavyweight. Then I started taking my channel and my books seriously. Could you help me? Cause I'm literally stuck. Now I'm writing an enemy to lover novel. I want my characters to have problems and wounds so they can develop and heal themselves in a storyline. But I made a mistake. I made my female character so needy and now I don't like her and I'm not attracted to write this novel. I also have a draft of my story that's complete and at least the first book is complete, which in this draft she has confident problems but she is also strong and she's not needy, which is so important. Now do you think I should write it just like the first draft or I should mix both of them up and make a new character? Comment your opinion, I would love to read them. And for keeping up with both of them, I started my first 30 days writing challenge ever. I'm writing a novel which I have the first draft and I'm rewriting it and make it better. My goal is to rewrite it very fast, so I made a challenge for myself to write the second draft in less than 30 days. This is the first day of my challenge. Now I'm reading this book for inspiration because my novel is about enemy to lovers and the dark romance. This is the darkest romance I've ever written in my life. At first it was really effortless for me to write, but soon that turned into a problem for me. Because it was easy to write, I would sometimes procrastinate writing until it was late at night and I would just force myself to write, or sometimes I would just skip it. But I would still keep going by reading more books and counting it as learning time. Then I would also talk about things I was learning and tips I would use for writing better. These are things I do for writing better. Because even by reading and writing, I would still love talking and sharing my thoughts and experiences with people who had the same problem or had the same thoughts. So I also started reviewing books that I would read. I love dark mafia romance and actually I love this book, The Predator, the first book of Darkverse series. And at the same time, I also started a Booktube channel which I could talk more about books in it. I read too much. And by too much, I mean all day long. And I want to share it with you guys. Hi, my name is Elina and this is the first video of my channel. As I said, I'm Elina, I'm 19 and reading is one of my biggest hobbies. So I decided to start a YouTube channel and actually a Booktube channel to share all of my readings with you. Besides reading, talking about books I read is one of my biggest hobbies and actually I love it even more than reading. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea. And also it was an opportunity for me to record aesthetic videos of me reading, which was my favorite part of content creation. I always loved vlogging, but still I couldn't admit it because I still couldn't count vlogging as valuable content. So I would still try to make the content that I used to think was valuable. As I was still struggling with English, I would first record myself practicing whatever I wanted to say in my videos. That's just a test for my TikTok video. Yeah. Currently, I'm reading Cash Flow quadrant. Main point in this book, if you want to become wealthy, because being wealthy is more important than being rich. So in case of becoming wealthy, you should have a great system and make a system, and instead of being that system. And 19 years old Elina would never think that 20 years old Elina would ever publish these videos. And I'm gonna delete this video. Sorry, my younger self, but let's move on. Those practices helped me find a new way of recommending and reviewing books. You shouldn't read this book if you want a magical formula for marketing, or even expect the author to give you a solution to not being boring in your business and being different. But if you want to read other people's business ideas or learn about big brands' marketing strategy, read and enjoy it. I gave this book 4 stars just because by reading this book, many great ideas came to my mind. This book is Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And I make those videos for both fictional and non-fictional books. You shouldn't read this series if you don't like books with little or no spice, annoying characters, many side characters, characters with family issues, and most importantly, love triangle. Otherwise, enjoy reading this series like I did. I gave it 5 stars to this series because I love the magical vibe of it and main characters. The series I actually lived with it is Iron Fae by Julie Kagawa. Though at a point I burnt out by reading so many books and by feeling like my only job is reading. So guess what? I deleted my first TikTok channel ever in less than a month. And I decided to focus only on growing myself and changing my life and nothing else. Hi guys, my name is Elina and this is the first day that I'm gonna try to make my life better. Sometimes I have problems with English because English is not my first language. And my first language is Persian, but I prefer to speak English. But as I was addicted to making content, I still would try to record myself speaking in English and making content out of changing my life. From now on, I'm gonna record every day or every other day-ish. Even after failing on social media 3 times in a row, I was still considering creating content and I still wouldn't forget about my dream. But this time I decided to start with a better strategy. I'm gonna design my personal brand for my YouTube channel. I would keep going with my mission to change my life, and I would sometimes panic about wasting my time watching Friends for several hours, which I didn't still know that it was really wasting time or not. Hey, this is me and this is the day 2 of me trying to make my life better. I went to bank today and after that I sat and watched Friends for several hours, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm wasting my time. And also, I decided to make my personal brand, as everyone else would tell me that you should make your personal brand. For that, I came back downstairs here and I kinda made my personal brand, but still I would also try to be more productive. Yeah, let's go upstairs together. Yeah. We're going to upstairs. Now I'm upstairs. Yeah. However, in that time, I was actually trying to collect some good habits. Every single morning, I drink a little bit of water, around 1 or 2 glasses. It helps my body to work better, and you know, it is very good for my health. I was just trying to change, and this time I wasn't faking it. I was actually changing. I finally realized that being confident and being successful comes from within and then shows up externally, not the other way around. But even when I was trying to change my life and I was so ambitious, and also I had the knowledge and the clear goals to achieve, I was still a human with limits. Okay, I've got my period today. I fell asleep and now I just woke up. Yeah, and period sucks. This was the 3rd day of me changing my life. the limits that would hold me back. Oh, I'm so tired. And those limits made me pause for a while, but this time I didn't stop because I know that I had so much time to grow and I was just at the beginning. It was around the ending of 11th grade that after 2 years of online classes, I was anxious for exams and also I was kind of bored. So the combination of them made me want to escape the reality. I always loved dark romance books, but I couldn't find good ones in Persian and I still couldn't read English books. So I did what I always do. I started writing my own book and I started writing the story that I wanted to read. I crafted the characters I loved and the story that I wanted to live in, no matter how crazy it was. I picked up my notebook and immediately started writing. As it was in my notebook, I could take it everywhere, including to my school. For months, I was just writing a few pages of it until the last year of my high school. One of the days I was writing my book in school in the break time that my friends saw my book. They insisted on reading it and I agreed. When they read it, they got so interested and they pushed me to write more. That was the motivation for me to keep writing this book and don't just leave it halfway like most of my books. I kept writing it until the very last day of high school. After the graduation, I would barely ever meet my friends, but I was already so deep in the story that I couldn't stop writing it. When I started my TikTok channel and then I decided to write a traditional book, the first book that I thought about was this one that I wanted to turn it into an actual book. I decided to give it a chance and started by writing it from my notebook to my laptop, and as it was the first draft of it, I started writing the second draft. The second draft became so much better and it was finally feeling like a mature story. The first draft, this one, took me over a year to complete, but the second draft took me only 3 months because I focused. I started writing the second draft of my book the 1st of July and I finished it by the last day of September. And when I finished it, I was so obsessed with it that I would feel like I'm living with them. But that made me realize something. Writing was the first and only job that I could love it unconditionally, no matter how hard it was, no matter how quiet I was about it, and no matter if no one clapped and no one cared. Because by writing, I have so many worlds that I craft by myself and I can escape to when the reality gets difficult and when I want to escape the reality. And honestly, I would never give up that advantage no matter what. So the book that I started writing out of boredom and anxiety suddenly became one of my main goals to publish it.